Welcome. Hello, welcome everyone. Happy Thursday afternoon. It's been a busy day. I see lots of familiar names here. So a lot of you have joined us throughout the day today. So thank you for sticking with us to learn more about civil and environmental engineering here at Colorado State University. So my name is Jackie Goldring. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve as the manager for undergraduate recruitment programs here in the College of Engineering. So I'm your point person. If you're a prospective student, email me, call me, text me. We can walk through the whole process. I'm here to be a resource. And we are just gonna wait a couple of minutes here for folks to get logged in successfully. But I do wanna let everyone know on the call, we are recording, so I hope that's okay with everyone. And we will be sharing these recordings to our YouTube channel, and so you can watch all of the Engineering Exploration Week sessions next week once we load all of the videos onto our YouTube channel. So if you're looking at different majors, you want to learn a little bit more about, say, mechanical engineering or electrical or computer engineering, you can watch all of these sessions at your own pace. And then also on Saturday, we're going to have tons of sessions all about extracurriculars and other involvement opportunities here in the College of Engineering. So with that, I think we got some folks signed in here. Shannon, did you want to give a quick hello?
Hi.
Our panelists?
Yeah, thank you. I am Shannon Miller. I am the undergraduate advisor for civil and environmental engineering. And I invited Kayla and Teresa, who are both civil and environmental specifically student ambassadors. And then it looks like we have Katie and Sammy here as well. So they're from the college. Sorry, my dog's going crazy. And they're just here to kind of talk about their experiences as students in our department and in the college as well at CSU. Kayla and Teresa, do you guys want to kind of introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go first, and just so everyone knows, we're roommates, so that's why we're here together. Just figured it'd be easier. So my name is Kayla Schultz. My name is Kayla Schultz, and I'm in my 5th and final year. I'm studying civil engineering, and I also have a minor in global environmental sustainability. I am really interested in the water aspects of civil engineering, and I really love CSU.
Great. My name is Teresa. I'm in my 4th year of environmental engineering, and I've been an ambassador for a little over a year now. I've also worked in the Engineering Success Center, and both Kayla and I are part of the Society of Engineers. And we're here to just answer any questions you have about civil or environmental engineering.
I can go ahead and introduce myself next. My name's Sammy. I'm in my 4th and senior year studying civil engineering. Like Kayla, I'm also interested in kind of the water, hydraulics, hydrology side of things. I'm from Centennial, Colorado originally. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And let's see, involvements on campus. I'm also in the Society of Women Engineers, so big plug for them. And I get to work as an engineering ambassador. So we've gotten to give tours. Now they're all virtual. We still get to give tours. We do webinars. We get to host things like this. So it's really fun to share that passion for engineering with the next generation.
Thanks, Sammy. My name is Katie. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm in my 4th out of 4.5 years studying environmental engineering. I also have a minor in international development. I'm originally from Bakersfield, California, and I will be choosing to focus the rest of my career in water resources.
Thank you, guys. So I guess really, and we can just kind of open it up for questions if anybody has specific questions for any of these students. I guess we'll just see, and if not, we'll start somewhere else.
One question I have is, I know that you guys were talking about how like you focus on water, like in your certain majors. So what are like the different like subsidies or like subcategories of environmental or civil engineering?
I can answer that. I really like answering this question. So I had really no idea what civil engineering was like holistically when I chose it as my major. I originally was thinking of going into structural engineering because that's like what you see when you hear civil engineering. It's like bridges, buildings, things like that. But really, I like to explain it as like if you came upon a desert island and you needed to make that island habitable, you need to have a lot of things. So you need to have obviously your structures to live in, to work in, to host schools, things like that. Before you even build those structures, you need to make sure that the ground that you're building it on is good soil. So that's more geotechnical engineering about like foundations and retaining walls and things like that. So there's your structural and geotechnical. And then you also need to supply water to those places. So that's where a lot of the water resources comes in, a lot of the utility management, and that's part of like hydraulics and hydrology. And then you need to be able to get to those buildings. So you need roads or some other sort of transportation system, and that goes along with transportation engineering. So those are the main subsections that I am pretty sure I covered them all. I might have blanked on any. Katie, Kayla, or Teresa, did I miss anything in that?
Yeah, I think you hit on civil engineering pretty well, but yeah, within environmental engineering, Teresa, you can help me with this. There's literally so much we can do. We're still finding out. We are in more environmental engineering specific classes, and we're still finding out about more of these fields and avenues we can take. Like I said, water resources, or more on the hydraulics and hydrology side. There's also air pollution, land remediation, noise pollution, and things like that.
Yeah, I can speak to environmental a little more. Like Katie mentioned, remediation is pretty huge, and that is essentially addressing existing environmental problems. So that can include air pollution, that can include water pollution, soil contamination, and not only identifying those problems, but creating solutions to clean them up is really big. Where civil and environmental, I think, overlap a lot is the water resources area. So civils and environmentals take hydrology, hydraulics, fluid mechanics, and often work side by side, like solving those issues, which is really cool.
And there's a question in the chat. What other schools were on your list when you were applying, and what made you choose CSU over some others?
Yeah, I can answer this question. I, born and raised in Central California, knew I wanted to leave California. However, per my parents' wish, I applied to one school in California just in case, which was Cal Poly San Luis. That's where my dad got his civil engineering degree. My uncle's a civil engineering professor there. So they were a little shocked that I didn't want to go there. But once my dad visited all the colleges with me, I also applied to Colorado School of Mines and CU Boulder and CSU, and I ended up getting into all three of those as well. I visited Mines and CSU back to back, and I actually committed to CSU while I was still on the campus at Mines. I didn't end up visiting Boulder because their out-of-state tuition's a little pricey. Wasn't really gonna budget that one very well, so I was heavily looking at CSU and Mines. And when I took my engineering tour with my tour guide Emily here at CSU, I knew that she couldn't be paying all those people that she said hi to. She said hi to way too many people. She knew everyone. I thought, okay, there's no way, like, this is fake. She definitely knows all those people. Like, they didn't give her weird looks when she waved to them or anything. So I really just love the welcoming community, and I've definitely found that to be true. And that's one of the reasons that I chose and stayed at CSU, is just the community. You'll hear that from all the engineering student ambassadors. Community is a huge aspect of how you get through engineering. It's definitely a hard major. However, with all the resources and your friends and your classmates, you can do it.
Yeah, I'll totally, I'll speak to that as well. So like Katie, sort of in a similar way. So I'm from Colorado originally, and I also was pretty convinced that I wanted to go out of state. So I was looking at schools. I looked at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and like a school in Vermont and one in New York. So I was all over the place. And per my parents' request, they asked me to tour all of the Colorado schools just to have a baseline to know what to expect on a college tour. And so when I toured CSU, it wasn't even on my radar. And after being on campus, spending some time in Fort Collins, talking to some people, I just was blown away by how friendly everyone was here and how much I felt like this was a community, like a group of people that I could get along with. And so I ended up applying for CSU kind of last minute, and then came here pretty much just based on like, I felt like I fit in well here, and like this was a place where I could thrive and grow. And so, yeah, I really picked based on, just based on feeling, you know, the vibe of the campus and of the people.
Teresa, do you want to go or do you want me to go next?
I'll go real quick, sure.
Okay.
I actually have a pretty similar experience kind of in between Kayla and Katie. I knew I had to stay in state when I was applying to schools, and my top choices were Mines and CSU, and I toured both, and the biggest factor of why I chose CSU over Mines was how the community within engineering presented itself to me. And I'm sure Katie probably had a similar experience, but when I went to Mines, it was a very competitive environment. All the students were very, like, school was all they did. It was very oriented around that, which is what I thought I wanted, like going to engineering. I'm like, I need to be that focused. I need to that'll be my whole life. But when I came and toured here, my tour guide was like, yeah, this is what I do on my weekends. I go up to Horsetooth. I'm involved in these organizations, and like I have all this time to do this, and my support group is a lot larger because of that. So that was my big determining factor, was that this was a much more supportive community, at least from a glance, and that has proven to be really true. My classes are hard, as you guys can imagine, but they are built on support and community. Your professors are on your side, your peers are on your side, and that has made my entire college experience way better than I thought it could have been.
Yeah, my experiences had a lot of similar aspects to all of yours. So I was also looking at a few different out-of-state schools. My college wish list junior year was very different from my college wish list senior year when I was actually applying. And so I started to whittle down my options quite a bit. I was looking for schools that had like WUI, which is the Western Undergraduate Exchange, which allows you to have like 1.5 of what in-state tuition would be, like while still going out of state. And I was also convinced that I really wanted to do architectural engineering. So that's a pretty unique program that not a lot of schools had, so that narrowed it down a lot. And to give you my list, I applied to 6 schools. I applied to CSU, obviously, CU, Cal Poly, again, very popular choice among us. All of us like Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. Purdue, I knew they had a great program. Montana State had WUI, and where else? University of Wyoming had WUI, and then I applied to CU. Oops, just kidding. All of us probably applied to CU. We don't hate it like that much. It's just a rivalry. So also a great school. So all those things, I applied to them because they had architectural engineering, and then a couple had WUI. So I was looking for that. And then ultimately I arrived on CSU, not because it had always been a front runner in my mind. I had been here previously because my brother went to school here, but then I came to Engineering Exploration Day of my senior year, which was sort of the in-person version of this event. And I absolutely loved it, and I was really blown away by the programs. And CSU does not offer architectural engineering, but I loved the campus and the program and the people that I talked to so much, where I was like, oh, that's okay. I can compromise. Civil's close enough. And I'm very glad that I did, because now the aspect of civil engineering that I'm interested in isn't architectural. And I would have pigeonholed myself if I had chosen that like from the get-go. So I'm really glad that I chose to go to CSU, and the community's awesome, and Fort Collins is wonderful, and it is kind of nice being like an hour and a half away from home, even though the appeal of going out of state originally seemed really enticing. I'm glad that I'm kind of close to home.
Thank you, guys. I know you guys kind of played up the SWE, the Society of Women Engineers, but can you maybe talk about a few other organizations that either you're a part of or that you're aware of that are specific to maybe civil and environmental engineering?
Yeah, I can start on this. I used to hold a position in the Engineering Success Center, being the Diversity Programs and Engineering Student Council Coordinator, So I kind of have a bit of a knowledge on this. So aside from SWE, we have NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers, which is really big at CSU actually, and has grown a lot in the past couple of years. We have SHIP, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, which is also huge. It's kind of, I would say that SHIP, NSBE, and SWE are the three largest, but that's not to say they're the only ones. Outside of those, we have OSTEM, which is out in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is also getting bigger, and it's been super fun to watch them grow. And in the past 2 semesters or so, SACE, the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, has also started up again, which is a really, really cool organization as well. And all of these organizations independently hold their own meetings every other week or so, but also work together in a lot of ways. So if you're involved in one of them, there's lots of opportunity to get involved in others. Outside of engineering organizations that are diversity programs, I'm sure other people can speak more to those, but there's the Concrete Canoe.
Oh, yeah. So all of those organizations are just geared at like generally engineers and scientists. So specifically with civil engineering, there's the American Society of Civil Engineers, and so you can get involved in that. They hold meetings and events where you can network and meet people in the industry doing civil engineering. So it's a really great opportunity to get connected with industry people. They also do a yearly competition called Concrete Canoe, where they design and build a canoe entirely out of concrete, and then they will test it and race it against other schools. And then I know environmental engineering has the Environmental Engineering Society. I don't know a lot about that, so if somebody else knows more and can speak on that, but
I don't know much about that, but I did forget a diversity program, and I just want to make sure I say them all. There's also ACES, which is the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. So all of those kind of had their hub headquarters within our Engineering Success Center, and we have lots of people in that office and beyond that office that help keep those organizations running and organized, and they're all really, really awesome groups to be involved in.
I kind of tried out a bunch of different student organizations my freshman year, which I highly encourage all of you to do. And yes, there's the diversity programs of engineering that are awesome. There's American Society of Civil Engineers, Mechanical Engineers, fill in the blank with whatever your engineering interest is. And then freshman year, I also did a little bit with Engineers Without Borders. At the time, I was like kind of choosing between that and SWE, and stuck with SWE. So it's really up to you to explore your freshman year. SWE is the Society of Women Engineers, by the way. Sorry to use like acronyms all over the place. But it's a great time to explore your freshman year to discover what really interests you. And then from there, like you obviously can't do everything. There's only 24 hours in a day. So you really learn like what your passions are and what you want to stick with. And then I would also encourage all of you to get involved in something that has more of a personal interest to you in addition to an engineering organization. So for me, being a part of Society of Women Engineers is really great for professional development and for making friends in your majors. And then sort of more personal interests that I'm involved in on campus is a student ministry, which is where I found a lot of my like really tight-knit community and met all my roommates, and just a kind of a place that I go to de-stress and unwind and get away from engineering. So those two things are both very, very important, and definitely a huge tip that I would give to incoming students.
Thank you, guys. There was another question about specific dorms or housing for engineering students. And then also along those same lines, where did you guys live your first year?
Yeah, so I lived in Academic Village Engineering. I absolutely loved it. I'm still really good friends with the people that I met in my hall that first year. I had such a great positive experience there. It was really convenient just going downstairs or going down the hall to work on homework with people that you lived right next to. You didn't have to go all the way across the campus to our tutoring center, which still had to visit that a couple times too. But it was just really convenient. I know some of our other fellow engineering ambassadors chose not to live in Academic Village Engineering for various reasons, I think wherever you pick will be great. Even if you don't live in Academic Village Engineering, you still have access to that bottom floor, which is all of the engineering computer labs, study spaces, tutoring, things like that. You still have access to everything as an engineering student.
Yeah, so I also lived in Academic Village Engineering, and I'll just comment. So there's that whole building is specifically for engineering students, and so that's like a learning community. And then there is also, I believe, one other hall in a different residence hall that has that is all engineering students as well. And so I would highly recommend, if you can, to live. I really enjoyed living in Academic Village. I thought that similar to Katie, it was really nice. Everyone is doing the same thing. Yeah, so the other one's in Edwards Hall. Thanks for pointing that out, Jackie. So I really liked that I could go down the hall. I mean, everyone, it's not just civil and environmental engineers living in the dorm, but you have, everyone's taking math, everyone's taking physics and chemistry. So you're all going through these classes together, and it's just really fun. I was worried that it was going to be like too engineering-y and that I wasn't ever going to get away from it, but I had a great time and really liked everyone on my hall. We still talk, so yeah.
I also lived in academic engineering my freshman year, and not to say that that's something that you have to do. Like Katie said, people have various reasons for not living in academic village, whether that be preference to not live with engineers, like Kayla said, or whether it's wanting to go with a cheaper option for on-campus living, whatever it is. And yeah, you can still access all those resources, and really living on campus in itself is just an experience as is. And if you have a not so great experience, it's only a year. And if you are wanting to be part of like a community style bathroom, like that, I've heard good and bad experience with both of those things. So it's really what you make of it. And having a roommate is a really great experience. The roommate matching was really awesome for me as well, because they do this thing called Room Sync. It's basically like a dating app for roommates, which is really funny. And I took it very seriously. So I took people on roommate dates. We got dinner, and I was like, okay, so what are you looking for in a roommate? And then by the end of the date, I'd say, okay, this was fun. I know it's still really early in the process, so I think we should see other people. And then we go see other people, and I meet other people, and then I'm like, oh, that first one was really good. Then I go back to the first one, and they're like, oh, I found somebody else. So it's a whole process, and people definitely take it very seriously, and I ended up finding an awesome roommate that I'm still really, really great friends with to this day. And that is just really fun, and it definitely has the potential to be such a great experience in your life. And I personally really like Academic Village.
Thank you, guys. Do any of our students here have other questions?
I was just going to ask, is there a big emphasis on research opportunities in both environmental and civil engineering?
Oh yeah, for sure. Every major at engineering major has tons of research opportunities. I haven't personally done any research, and Katie, Kayla, or Teresa, if you have had chances to do that, please chime in. But there's a lot of really awesome research centers at CSU, and one big one that civil and environmental engineers take advantage of a lot is the, I'm blanking on the name, the Engineering Research Center, the ERC, which is over on the foothills of Fort Collins, and it has huge hydraulics labs and structures labs and anything that any nerdy civil engineer or environmental engineer could possibly want. And the ways that, there are several ways to get involved in research at CSU, but probably the most common that I've heard of is just you learn about the research that your professors are doing, and then you can just send them an email and say, hey, I heard that you do research on disaster mitigation or structural failure, or, oh, I've heard you do research on water quality, that interests me. Can I come see your lab? And are you looking to hire any undergraduates? And that's been the foot in the door that a lot of people have used. And all the faculty do awesome research, and a lot of them are looking for undergraduates to come into their lab, and they can hire you on the first day that you show up. So I've heard a variety of different experience with students doing research, but it's definitely a big emphasis at CSU.
Yeah, I'll just add on. I haven't heard the stat on this in the last year or two, so Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong. But CSU was the largest, had the largest funding for any university in the nation for undergraduate research that does not have a medical school attached to it. So yes, lots of research.
Yeah, for the College of Engineering, there's over $80 million every single year in research expenditures. So people are doing cutting edge research on campus. And like everyone said, it's really accessible as an undergraduate student. So you can reach out to professors directly. And then I'm also going to drop some links in here to other more formal ways to connect with research opportunities as an undergraduate student. So Aura is the Office of Undergraduate Research and Artistry. That's a good place to start as well, especially if you're looking for research outside of engineering, because that's another really great way to get some other skills and knowledge under your belt that can really help to expand all of your learning opportunities and then potentially help you navigate where you see yourself in the future. So Aura is fantastic. And then there's HERS, which is the Undergraduate Research Scholars. So if you are thinking about the University Honors Program, which Sammy, I know you are in the Honors Program, so you might want to talk about honors a little bit as well here on the student panel. But if you apply to the Honors Program, you can also apply to HERS. And then we have our own engineering research opportunity called SURE, which is the Scott Undergraduate Research Experience. And that's for our Scott Scholar students as well as first generation students in the College of Engineering. So I will drop all of those links in here as well.
Thank you, Jackie. Kayla, I think Teresa, you're in honors too. I know Kayla is for sure. Yeah. I'm not sure if Katie is as well, but that's okay. Totally okay. There's another question, and we can hit this first and then maybe go back to the honors. But what are some of your guys' favorite outdoor activities to do in Fort Collins?
There's so many great, like Fort Collins has such great access to outdoor activities if that's something that you're interested in doing. There's tons of hiking, like 10-15 minutes from campus, as far as you have to drive to get to good hiking. And you can go further into the mountains if you want to get up, above tree line or things like that. But there's hiking all around Horsetooth Reservoir, which is just west of Fort Collins. You can also swim in Horsetooth Reservoir during the summer, and I've paddleboarded and kayaked in Horsetooth, and so that's really fun. And you can rent paddleboards and kayaks, so you don't need to have your own. There's also rock climbing and bouldering around Horsetooth Reservoir and further into the mountains. Sammy, I know you do a lot of outdoor activities if you want to add some more.
Oh yeah, Kayla and I worked on a ropes course in high school together, and Kayla actually worked at our mountain campus. So CSU has a mountain campus just on the north end of Rocky Mountain National Park, and that has great hiking and camping if you want to take a weekend trip and go. It's like a hour and a half drive into the mountains. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But as far as really close to campus, like Kayla said, I love Horsetooth. There's a really good climbing spot for top roping called Duncan's Ridge, which is really fun and super accessible. There's also a lot of climbing in Pooter Canyon and lots of hikes. My favorite hike in Fort Collins is probably Gray Rock, which is up the Pooter Canyon a little bit. It's probably 20-30 minutes away from campus. It's beautiful, and you do get a little bit above tree line. So it's kind of a tough one and very satisfying to spend half a day going up and down. It's great. The CSU outdoor program is also a really great resource if you want to get involved in an outdoor kind of club, or if you don't have any of your own gear but you still want to get out, or if you are not from Colorado and you don't know what really is out there and you don't know how to prepare for it, or you've never hiked a 14er but you want to try. The CSU outdoor program offers a variety of trips that range in cost anywhere from $10 to $50 depending on what it is. So my freshman year, I used that a lot. I went snowshoeing in Rocky Mountain National Park. I went rock climbing. And then my favorite was we went ice climbing in Rocky Mountain National Park as well. So there's a lot of cool things that you can try. You can try a bunch of new things in college if you'd like. And it's really nice because they provide all the transportation, the gear, and there's experience guides that take you out there.
I can maybe speak to some more casual outdoor activities. I'm definitely not the biggest athlete, but I have a cheap road bike that I got off of Craigslist that I ride to and from school every day. And Fort Collins is so bike friendly. Like, I'm sure if you guys have ever been up here, you've noticed all the bike lanes, you've noticed all the bike paths, and around Fort Collins and around campus, there are lots of like green areas, natural spaces to go on walks. I longboard a lot too, and you'll see people longboarding, roller skating, scootering on campus, and those are just really fun ways to just get outside. Fort Collins weather can get, obviously Colorado can get a little unpredictable, but I know my roommates and I have been able to go like on a walk at the minimum every day, and it's super fun stuff. I just got my first car, and I could say as a driver in Fort Collins, I'm like super conscious and aware of bikers. So it is a really safe space in Fort Collins to bike around and just kind of do that casually. Also, there's lots of people who like work out in the parks, go running, do yoga, and just fun stuff to just be outside in general. If you're not into ice climbing, that sounds super cool, but really hard.
Thank you, guys. The other question we had was about honors. And then there's actually, I guess, kind of the other question about honors that I'll start with to sort of lead into some discussion about honors. The question is, do you recommend applying to the honors program if you are an engineering major? Does it enhance your experience or add too much additional work to your schedule?
Great question. I can start on that and anybody else can hop in. But yeah, I don't know if there's an exact statistic on this, but it feels like a lot of honor students are engineers because typically like pretty high achieving, like ambitious people. So we sign up for a little bit of everything. And I definitely wouldn't say that it adds like too much work. It's just a different type of work. So really how the honors program works is instead of taking your core classes that you would normally take in college, so just like in high school where you had to take a certain amount of English, math, science, same applies for college. So regardless of what your major is, you have to complete a certain amount of AUCCs or all university core curriculum classes. But if you're in the honors program, instead of taking those, you take what we call honors seminars, and those are on a variety of different topics. And I took one about consumerism and how it affects the environment. And I took another one about like how animals make art, and we got to go visit a farm and FaceTime a monkey and things like that. So very, very different topics that are not related to engineering, which is kind of refreshing. And then in addition to taking those honor seminars in place of your core classes, you get to take honors sections of your major classes. So I took honor sections of statics and solids, which are two fundamental engineering courses. And that allowed me to have some extra exposure to extra material. It allowed me to connect with my professor a little bit deeper and be in a smaller class size or do an extra project. So it definitely helps you to dive deeper into your major and get to know your faculty a little bit better. And then at the end, sort of the crux of being an honors student is your honors thesis. And for engineering, that's kind of nice because we have our senior capstone is senior design, which we're doing anyway. And then your honors thesis sort of doubles up with that. So your thesis and your senior design project go together, and you get to, again, dive a little bit deeper into what you would have just done with like the baseline senior design project. So I don't think it's a ridiculous amount of extra work. It's maybe a slight bit more in certain areas, but I haven't felt like overwhelmed by it. I think it's just kind of a different style of learning and an additional opportunity to dive in deeper if you desire to.
Yeah, I'll definitely add to that. I agree with everything that Sammy says. And I think, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I think the honors program is I don't think it's, like Sammy's saying, it's not more work, it's just a different type of work. And so, and similar to, I think it reflects CSU in the same way that the College of Engineering and Civil and Environmental Engineering reflect CSU, in that it's really focused around support and community and collaboration as opposed to competition. So I know coming out of high school, I had just, taken all of my tests and passed all my classes and felt like I was competing to get into college. And then once I got into the honors program, I felt like I was wired to expect, like, I'm about to compete with all these people, these other smart people. But really, it's just, it's a really cool group of people that you get a lot of really weird, fun, unexpected experiences with, and a lot of really cool discussions. So Sammy said she was in a class with about animals making art. I'm in a class right now about baseball and how baseball, we can look at American history through the lens of baseball. So you just get a lot of opportunities for classes that are smaller. All of the honor seminars are 18 people maximum, whereas some of your AUCC classes might be, 100 people. And so depending on the class. And so I think if it's something that you are interested in, I would absolutely not hesitate to apply.
Yeah, just to piggyback really fast, when I was in high school, I really enjoyed my English classes, and coming to college, I thought I would have to give that up. And I have found that like my honors seminars have been a nice tie back into that passion of mine. I've gotten to take classes about comic books and graphic novels and children's books, which was such a cool experience. And a common theme throughout all honors seminars are like public speaking and essay writing, which I think are great skills that are underplayed in engineering curriculum. And so I would say it definitely enhances my experience to keep up with those skills and also learn a little something outside of engineering, which just keeps me on my toes and keeps me more engaged. So.
Thank you, guys. I'll also mention that with honors, the honors that the student ambassadors have mentioned is considered track 1. And there actually is another track of honors that you can take if you don't want to do track 1. It's called track 2. And you do have the normal, regular AUCC classes, but then you take additional honors section classes within your major. So, and again, I think Jackie put the link for honors in the chat. So thank you, Jackie, for doing that. But you can see that there's 2 tracks. So there's 1 and 2. And the ambassadors talked about track 1. And then again, there's another one. So thank you guys for talking about that. There was a question about scholarships. And did you apply for scholarships? And did CSU help you, or did you do it on your own?
Yeah, so I can touch on this. We have something called the CSUSA, and it's a scholarship application through CSU. It is due March 1st. March 1st, write it down, March 1st. Very important deadline. You can apply through your RAM web portal once you've applied to CSU, even if you have not committed to CSU. So even if you want to wait until that May 1st deadline to choose a university, you should still apply to CSUSA, because if you decide to come to CSU after that March 1st deadline, then you can't be considered for that general pool of scholarships. So there are hundreds of scholarships. Jackie is our stats gal. She has all of the statistics on how much money and how many scholarships we give out every year, but you do become more competitive for those scholarships every year. So it is something you will want to apply for every single year. So yes, Faith Nielsen is our scholarship coordinator just for the College of Engineering. So that is her entire job, is to help you with essays. I know I've sent her my essays before to look over for scholarships. That's her entire job. So because we have someone dedicated to just engineering scholarships, that kind of tells you how big of a deal it is, how many there are. And as well as Shannon is a great resource. Your academic advisors will send out scholarships as well. That's actually how I got one of my most recent scholarships, was something that Shannon and Lori were just passing on from people who contacted them wanting to give scholarships to civil and environmental engineering students. So yes, there are so many resources for that, but just know, March 1st.
Yes, the CSUSA, which stands for the CSU Scholarship Application, very, very helpful, really great. That's where a majority of my aid has come from every single year that I've been at CSU. And then I also just want to mention that you're automatically considered for scholarships based on your GPA and test scores. I'm not totally sure how test scores are working this year with the whole COVID situation, and if they're waived. Maybe Jackie, you can confirm that. But you're automatically considered for a set of scholarships based on those things. And then there's a couple other things, like if you're involved in the honors program, for example, since we were just talking about it, you get $1,000 every year, as well as the Scott Scholarship, which Jackie mentioned briefly, but that's a very competitive scholarship that's, I think, almost full tuition. And it's a really, really awesome opportunity. And not only aids a lot of your like financial support for college, but also provides a really great community research opportunities. And the Scott Scholars also get to sometimes take trips out to Omaha to meet Walter Scott Jr. himself. And that's just really cool and gives you a very tight-knit community, as well as helping a lot with the financial stress of that college can sometimes be.
Yeah, I just want to quickly chime in about scholarships. If you are looking and really need to get a scholarship or really passionate about that, you can get one. There, like everyone is saying, there are so many, and Faith Nielsen is there to help you out. The CSUSA is so broad in what it can offer you. Some of them are really specific, like we have scholarships for people who have been on a golf team, and like we have scholarships for people who are interested in this in their future career, and you don't even have to say like, oh, I'm going to do that. But if you apply and apply and apply, you will get a scholarship, so you don't have to do this college thing alone.
And I was just going to pop in and say about the Scott Scholarship. So as Sammy mentioned, we are test optional this year. So typically merit-based scholarships are based on your GPA and your test scores. So the Office of Financial Aid is still navigating the process for this year in particular. But with the Scott Scholarship, it is stackable with your merit-based award from the Office of Admissions and the Office of Financial Aid. So for a Colorado resident, if you're awarded the highest green and gold, which is $4,000, then you would apply for the Scott Scholarship to stack on top of that. So we have 5 that are at $21,000 for Colorado residents, and then 10 for $6,000, and then you would add that additional $4,000 from your green and gold. And then for non-resident students, we have 5 scholarships totaling $15,000 each, and that's stackable on top of the presidential award, which is $10,000. So just to give you an idea, because it's not full tuition, but it gets, it's really, really helpful. And this is renewable. So this is a scholarship that will see you through your time at CSU.
Thank you, everyone. That was great information. And Jackie you did put some links in there for scholarships as well. So, and March 1st, I'm just going to say it again. So another question we had was, kind of going back to the discussion about outdoor activities. Do you see a lot of outside of classroom experience for your major?
Yeah, so I can talk about this. I think the question is referring to things like labs and internships. That's one of the things that drew me to CSU is your very first semester, you are in lab as an environmental and civil engineer. So we were outside surveying the lagoon, which is just a little pond on campus. We were doing making model structures and putting them on a shake table to test their structural integrity against earthquakes and things like that. The labs here are so hands-on, and they have definitely enhanced my learning at CSU, being in the classroom. As engineers, I'm sure you all are hands-on and like to get down and dirty and do everything. With my internship, I think I've been in the office like less than 10 times this entire summer. I've been learning how to operate chainsaws and excavators and backhoes in my internship, and I've seen the office, like I said, less than 10 times, and that's usually just for our meetings. So there are so many opportunities, outdoor opportunities specifically for civil and environmental engineering. Everything we do is outdoors pretty much, so great opportunities, which whatever you're looking for, you could probably find it.
It really depends on your interest too. Like if you would like to have like a cush Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, 40-hour-a-week office job as a civil engineer, you definitely could. But if you want to have a job where you're out in the field doing work, working on construction sites, doing like remediation projects, things like that, that's also an opportunity. So everywhere on the spectrum where you want to work, whether it's completely outside or completely in the office or anywhere in between, is definitely possible. And as far as classes go, yeah, like Katie was saying, we get to survey outside for a lot of our classes. One of our labs freshman year was our professor just took us for like a walk around campus and was pointing out different features of campus and saying, oh, that retaining wall is here because of this, or oh, this thing's here because there was a flood in 1997 and this is to mitigate future disasters from another flood and things like that. So you kind of got to begin to see your built world through an engineering lens. And working an internship, like Katie was saying, is also a really, really great way to get outside and get a broader perspective of the world and how civil engineers play a part of it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Looks like we have about 5 or 6 minutes left here. If there's any other questions anyone has. You guys have been so, everyone has been so thorough and detailed. It's great. Here's a question. Do you guys have any advice for prospective students?
Yeah, so I would say definitely continue to explore your passions. CSU has so many different minors. Like I said, I have a minor in international development, and that has tied in really nicely with environmental engineering. I've been to about 20 different countries, and a lot of those have been with construction and civil environmental engineering related projects. Things like building a water well in Africa last summer, or doing disaster mitigation after hurricanes and things like that. So definitely, while it might not seem like it would pair nicely, sometimes you'd be surprised at how well those minors can really complement your engineering degree. So if there's anything that you are still passionate about or interested in, definitely look at our list of minors. I know a popular one for civil engineers is construction management. I also know quite a few people in the, I think it's sustainability water minor. We also have quite a few friends that I have in the fish and wildlife conservation biology minor. So there are so many different ones, STEM or not STEM related, that I would definitely encourage you to explore.
Yeah, I think I definitely also encourage you to explore all the different opportunities there are. And with that, my piece of advice is it's kind of 2 parts. So keep an open mind and take the pressure off yourself a little bit, because we seem, especially as I'm sure a lot of you can relate, current students at CSU, current students in high school, adults, wherever you're at, like wherever you're at in your life, I think that we can tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves based on what everybody else is doing. Like, oh, everybody else is going out of state, maybe I should, or oh, everybody else is studying this, maybe I should do that, or oh, I feel like I'm the only person without a minor, like I need to add one. No, you don't. Like, just do what is right for you and take the pressure off yourself, and know that it's really not like where you choose to go to school or what you choose to study or whether you choose to minor or not. It's all about like how you engage in whatever you're like in that moment. So make the most of it. Definitely explore your options. Don't pigeonhole yourself right off the bat, and allow yourself to kind of have fun and go with the flow.
Yeah, I would say I think that's really great advice from both Katie and Sammy. And on top of that, it's okay to not know what you're doing or what you want to do. There's so much pressure, like Sammy's saying, to like pick a school, pick a major, pick the rest of your life, you know, figure out where your career is and what you want to do. But I honestly, I mean, I was leaning towards engineering and leaning towards civil engineering, but I picked it because it was like one of my options, and I just selected it on the little drop down menu and ended up really liking it. So you're not locking yourself into the rest of your life by making the decision of where you're going or what you're studying. You're just making like the next decision. And you can change it, you can modify it, you can add a minor, you can study abroad. I mean, you have so many options, and so it's easy to get overwhelmed. Just know that you're not, don't get into the mindset of like, I'm making the choice that's going to dictate the rest of my life, because you're not.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I think this is great advice for you guys. I guess also when you are considering engineering, if you think it might be too hard for you, but you want to do it, do it. There are so many resources to help you get through your coursework, and you're not expected to get through your coursework perfectly and seamlessly. I know a lot of the intimidating classes for first years are like physics 141, calculus 1, 2, 3, and that can sound like really daunting and a lot of work, but you're taking things one semester at a time, and you have your professors and CSU and your classmates by your side, and don't shy away from the potential of failure. Falling means you have to get back up again, and that's growing and that's growth. So I know that really intimidated me coming from high school, because high school is so comfortable. It was so my realm. And then getting into college, I struggled in my physics class, and I'm like, maybe engineering isn't the right choice. And I'm so happy I stuck with it, because it is the right choice, and you get through physics and you get through math, and it's super rewarding, and you never do it alone. So
Thank you, guys. Yeah, Teresa and I actually just had a conversation yesterday about that whole notion of, you know, classes can be really difficult, but we all try to stick together, and we all, I think I've had probably 4 or 5 emails today of, you know, trying to connect students with instructors and connect students with tutoring options. And so, you know, we try and keep, it's a constant, you know, throughout the entire time you're here. We really, when you reach out to us and ask for help, we're here to help, and there's lots of resources. So that is one true constant about CSU. So I think that's all our time. I really, really appreciate our student ambassadors all being here. I hope that all of this potential students that have been in this panel have taken some value from it and received some good information. Oh, and we just had a question, where can I find this recording? I think Jackie posted at the beginning of the chat. Oh, she just posted it again. Thank you. For YouTube, on YouTube, where it will be, and I think she said it would be available next week. So we kind of have to put it all together and get it out there for you. So it should be available next week. But again, I wanted to thank everyone for your time, for being here, and for just the entire day. It was a long, great, productive day. So we look forward to seeing all of the potential students signed up, applied, accepted, and here. Yes, go Rams. And yes, Jackie is the queen of sending out the links, and I appreciate it so much, because I can't type as fast as she can. So anyway, I appreciate all of you being here. I hope you all got something out of it, and thank you to all of our panelists, and of course, thank you to Miss Jackie. I appreciate you being here all day and supporting me. All right, so you guys have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much again. Take care.
Thank you.